I would, oh man, I did everything and anything that you can possibly do. I would like have a morning playlist of positive, uplifting songs and energetic songs. And my morning routine would be a cold shower, breath work, yoga, meditation, exercise, all in one morning. And I was like waking up earlier and earlier in order to fit this happiness formula into my life.
Välkommen till podden Human Change med Daniel Magnusson. Fastnar du ofta i tankar kring oro, stress och irritation? Tror du att allt beror på att det är fel på dig? Då vill jag välkomna dig till podden som guidar dig till förståelse om hur vi människor fungerar egentligen. Genom denna förståelse kan vi leva ett liv fullt av kärlek och harmoni. Ditt ljus och hopp när allt verkar mörkt och hopplöst. Så låt nu Daniel guida dig till den stillhet vi alla letar efter. Där slutstationen är välmående och glädje. Lyssna och njut.
Välkommen, du lyssnar på Human Change med mig Daniel Magnusson, and today we're gonna go for not for Swedish, we're gonna go for English, and I'm thinking like it could be fun to play with the name of the guest today, and hopefully the topic and what we talked about today gonna give you a much more rich life. And today my guest is Rich Life. And Rich has been an educator and coach for more than 10 years. He uses metaphor, mindful movement, and inner wisdom to coach his clients. And its parents and professionals is hiring him because he knows that every story is written on the pages of love. So he helps people to connect and really calm down and ease off with the stress. And you're working with teens and professionals to find their innate wellness. So with that said, very, very welcome, Rich. Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
So to that bio, is it anything you would like to add?
I for some reason I've really been focused a lot on that inner like belonging that the people are looking for. I feel like that's kind of missing. They want to be worthy, and they feel as though that they're unworthy. And as we know, worthiness is a thought. It's kind of made up in our minds.
Yeah, and exactly. And we don't need to do anything actually to have a worth. We already have that inside of us. Yeah, and I think also many of, I would say not many, all of us is striving to find that and to be happy, to be feeling this inner peace, right? We're finding ways to get it usually by fixing it from the outside and in, instead of knowing that we have it. And also to be mentioned, you have the Rich Life Realization podcast, right? So you're a fellow podcaster too, and coach.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's so much fun to have awesome conversations with awesome people like you.
Well, likewise. And so yeah. And you just started it, like you're up in 5 episodes at the moment, right? Yeah. You're in for a treat. It's so fun. It's so fun to have this conversation. I really enjoy it, right? So yeah. And are you having you're doing, because I've been listening a little bit and seeing one of your episodes, or not seeing it but listening to it, and that where you were yourself. Are you also going to have guests, or do you have guests? Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I have guests, sometimes it's just me talking to you, or to myself, to everyone.
Yeah. And how is that, do you think, to just talk for yourself? Is that hard? Or I myself, I like, I'm gonna do a short one, and like, 25 minutes? Where did the time go?
Yeah. It's surprising how quickly you're like, oh, okay. And that's actually why I got into podcasting, because somebody said, they were just like, oh, here's kind of a little challenge. Just film yourself talking for an hour. Like you can do it. And then I was like, okay, I'll try this experiment. And then I did it, and I'm like, oh my gosh. That it was actually, I'll maybe post that. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
And therefore, it was born.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and because I can definitely feel like it's harder to record an episode for myself than having a guest. Anyway, so when we were talking just before we started recording, we did see some common, well-known people that we know. I stumbled on the 3 principles and understanding from the inside out, understanding from Michael Neal. You had heard a little bit about him too, but you for you, it's like around 4 or 5 months back since you come in contact with this understanding. Can you take us back a little bit? What did your world look like before this understanding, and what have changed?
Yeah. Well, how far back do you want me to go?
How far back do you want to go?
I started as a young boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Precocious child.
Yeah.
No. Okay. We won't go back that far, but how about I'll go to probably like 7 or 8 months ago, where I thought I was doing really, really well. I was really in that space of like you and I talked about, that like enlightened outside in, that I thought that I could cultivate or control my feelings. And I did everything and anything that you can possibly do. I would like have a morning playlist of positive, uplifting songs and energetic songs. And my morning routine would be a cold shower, breath work, yoga, meditation, exercise, all in one morning. And I was like waking up earlier and earlier in order to fit this happiness formula into my life.
I'm getting tired just hearing you talking about it.
I know.
Sorry. Yeah, but I at the same time I recognize myself also in some sense. I've never been a fan of cold showers, but I definitely recognize myself with like the morning routine, taking time to read, do some meditation and that kind of stuff also, right?
Yeah. Well, and there's a point where that's great and that's super helpful, and there's also a point where it can be kind of obsessive. Like my de-stressing routine was stressing me out.
Yeah. So the effect you were looking for did not create effect, more the opposite of it.
Yeah. it was taking away from my life. Because that was just my morning routine. I had a bedtime routine where I did, winding down, legs up the wall, reading, qigong, and there was not any room for my wife in that at all. And I thought it was working because I could get myself into this space of like, aha, I'm doing great, and I almost brought that, like made it into a mask that I would build every morning and put on for work.
Yeah. So one thing we can add here is also, because when you will listen to it, like, it sounds like it's good routines, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you opening a can of beer in the morning, right? You're doing healthy stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure about the cold shower. Yeah, I heard it's good, but anyway.
I'll still
But
do it every once in a while. I don't do it
yeah,
every morning.
yeah, and if you do, anyone who's listening and doing it, do whatever makes you feel good. But the
Yeah.
thing is, as in this case, as you mentioned, you feel like the 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 de-stress activities actually in some way got you even more stressed. Um, so what did you try? What did you looking to achieve in that sense?
I
What
think,
made sense for you to do in the beginning,
yeah,
right?
it did. Because I'm always an experimenter, and I'm like, okay, I'll try this. And of course, when you first try it, it's like, oh, that makes a really great difference. And then you are like, okay, well, that needs to be now the thing that we have to do. That needs to be the practice of every single morning, because we base it off that it worked maybe one time or two times. And Michael Neal talks about that a lot, how if we're constantly having to do something in order to feel good, there's going to be a heck of a lot of doing. And that's what I was doing. I was doing in order to feel good. I was seeking that peace, that joy, the contentment, the well-being that we find in the three principles. I was seeking that externally through trying to create it with all the things that I knew how to do.
Yeah. And how did that affect you in the end then? All this job, or because it's, for me, it's like a job, right? It
Yeah.
sounds like a full-time job in the morning before
Oh
you
yeah.
go to the
Oh
job,
yeah.
right? Yeah. And it's also, as you said, more like a mask putting on. It make, like, just to, I don't know, to be someone out showing someone else, or
Yeah, it was this mask that I did, and it really did cover up who I really was. And I found that I was just kind of in a roller coaster where I'd feel great, in the mornings, and then I would just have no energy left, because I was like, I was almost like here, like this. If for people listening, I'm shaking my hands.
Good there.
Yeah. I was just had so much energy that I was putting into this that now I see as wasted energy. Now I see, and it caused me so much burnout and stress that my body said, that's enough. I started to have these symptoms of, it was acid reflux or heartburn. I was burning in my chest. after every single meal that I ate. And I was actually a weight loss coach. So I was eating actually too healthy. I would not have foods. I would have only certain foods, and I would eat, like, for breakfast, like eggs and brown rice and a vegetable. That was my breakfast every single morning. And that was pretty much my meal: a protein, vegetable, and something super healthy. And it did not make any sense to me why this was happening at the time.
So when that started to happen, what did you do then? Because I mean, you must be confused, because you're living healthy, you eating healthy, and you're getting this kind of problem.
Yeah. I was like, what is going on? And I started to go onto Dr. Google, and I was looking.
Dr. Google, yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Google does not have the PhD, but and I was looking for anything that would help outside of my own wisdom. I was seeking that from the outside. And your wisdom and guidance might tell you to seek doctors. And there was a doctor that really helped me. So I don't want to say that, I don't want people to hear that. But what I was doing is I was seeking it outside of my own innate intelligence, and I was trying to grasp onto anything that I could. I was taking even more supplements to make my stomach feel better. I was trying all of these different chews, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. And it got to the point where I wasn't sleeping anymore. I'd maybe sleep 2 or 3 hours and then wake up and have this pain. And it was really scary. I would pace at 3 a.m. back and forth because my anxiety was through the roof. My mind was racing. It was trying to solve that. My intellect was trying to solve this, and it was making fear. I had the fearful thoughts on repeat, obsessive and compulsively.
And totally understandable, right? I mean, who wouldn't have that when you're starting to feel the way you felt in this case, with heartburn and the acid reflux and everything, and not understand where is it coming from? I'm eating healthy and all that, right? Something is wrong. It's like a big alarm clock, right? In our mind. But actually, it's the clock who is the alarm. The body is the alarm clock in this case, like telling you something, but we usually misinterpret the signals.
We do.
So how long did this go for?
It was probably about 2 or 3 months.
Wow.
It was, I at one point I went to the emergency room because the anxiety was so bad. And that's kind of how I know that I was creating this out of my own thinking. I was stressing myself out because they ran all of these tests, and they said, you're healthy. There's nothing physically wrong with you. And oh man, I was almost admitted to a mental, a psychiatric institution a couple of times during that time. And it was scary. I was creating my own fear and cycling it and perpetuating it. I was at rock bottom.
So how did you come out from that then? What what changed?
Well, and I think they talk about sometimes when our thoughts are up here, it helps to have some medicine to clear us, to help us get back in alignment, to help just quiet down so that you can reconnect with your intelligence.
Yeah.
And that's what was helpful. I got in with a psychiatrist, and he prescribed me some medicines that would help with the anxiety. And I was on those for quite a while. And then that's about when I discovered the 3 principles through Michael Neal.
Yeah.
And that was a game changer for me. And I was able to go on to these medications, slow down, and then go off of them really, really slowly. I was still on these stomach medications up until even back in December. I had been doing you can't do the principles, but I had been studying the principles, and can I tell you my first realization?
Yeah, for sure. No, we're not allowed to.
Wait,
of course.
no time for that.
Please
That's
share
not
that
what
one.
this is about.
Exactly. Of course. Yeah, share, please.
Well, and it wasn't an intellectual realization, but I was lying back on my hammock. It was kind of late fall, and this leaf fell from the tree, and it fell in this perfect spiral all the way to the ground, and I watched it. And then I thought that, wow, that was really cool. I thought maybe I would have this like realization of the circular nature of things, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't intellectual at all. I busted out laughing. I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I think that they talk about kind of this cosmic joke. And it was like I got this joke.
So what did you see when that happened to be true?
I saw my experience through new eyes. I saw how funny it was that I went through this experience, and I'm super healthful guy, and I was this health and weight loss coach, and I thought that was the funniest thing I've ever heard of. And instead of it being this serious kind of, because I came from that super dark place, I thought it was so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's sounds also like, because of the lightness in it, and you saw it as funny, it came with, as I would say, with some kind of compassion for yourself, of not seeing how you created your own suffering in some sense, right? Yeah, because it's very easy, like, oh, I should know better, I am a so and so, and I have read these books, and it's so easy to go into that kind of blaming and beating ourselves up for not seeing it. But it's really helpful and healthy for you to see it the way you did and laugh instead, right? Yeah.
And of course, it didn't always look like that. You get into that space where a couple minutes later, that transitory nature of thought.
Yeah.
But I think I saw it from that different perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. So when with this understanding of the inside out, it's more easy for you to draw the connections to your physical condition then, in
Yeah.
retrospect, right?
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
I didn't know it at the time.
yeah.
But I was creating it. And it was, there was a moment where I was like, what if I created that? And then like, now I'm like, oh yeah.
How could I? I'm so healthy. I'm doing these
Yeah,
routines. Yeah.
it was all up here. It was all my personal thinking,
Yeah.
my intellect trying to, almost like a wounded animal trying to escape.
Yeah.
But there was no escape, and I needed to go in myself, and I have that wellness within
Mm.
that's underneath. It's I like to say that we have our stories, and that we have our narratives of who we are, and our victim story or our champion story, and the stories are fun and great, and they're fictional,
Mm.
but they're written on the pages of love.
Mm.
And by that I mean they're our stories are written by on mind, or on the three principles, that when we see through in between the lines,
Mm.
that's what we'll find. We'll find the three principles underneath it: the mind, the consciousness, and thought.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the page is us, the true
Yeah,
self in some sense, right?
yeah.
And then we're adding a story to it. And the story sometimes can be quite good seasoning
Yeah,
in our
sure.
in our lives, right? But sometimes it's a little bit too spicy. Like habanero or something like, it's
Yeah.
it's 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 a little bit too much fiction. But at the same time, if we're going to use that analogy and metaphor,
Hmm.
it's also very hard for the book to, or the page to differentiate themselves from the text, right? Because it's on them, right? So yeah, I like, that's how I see it, at least.
Oh, I
Yeah,
like that. The power of our consciousness that makes it real.
exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so it's hard for us to understand that, yeah, what's happening right now is actually not me,
Hmm.
but it feels like me, that's the way for us to experience it somewhere, in some sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So
it's like that special effects department,
yeah, exactly.
and it will take whatever script you make it, and
Yeah,
as you read a story, your mind makes it real, and you
exactly.
can lose yourself in it, right?
Yeah,
But the difference is, we don't close the book on our lives until the end.
yeah,
So we can close that book and step away, right? If it's a normal book, but we kind of get lost in the narrative, in our own narrative.
mm. Yeah, because we don't see when it stops and starts, actually,
Yeah.
so easily.
Hmm.
So we don't actually know we can actually close the book in that sense. Like, oh, I'm gonna close that chapter. Let's move on to another one, or change book, or change narrative or whatever, or story. Yeah. And one of the biggest insights, my best friend, as I told you about before, who lives in San Diego, he's also been a guest in the beginning, but those episodes are in Swedish. Anyway, was that when he, in a Michael Neal training 2 years ago in a super coach intensive weekend, like we did online, it was like, I am not my story. That was like boom for him. I don't leave. I need to, it doesn't matter that I have this background and so on and so on. That's not me. Right. And it's the same in this case. Like, I'm not this book or this story. I can like leave that. And another thing I'm thinking of, as you're saying, the special effects department, and with not the department, but the special effects that we have, the capacity for imagination, we can truly see that when we're reading a book, you're reading letters, literally letters on a paper or on a digital thing. You can get scared by reading that, or, oh my God, this is so exciting. And Frodo step down, and or whatever you're reading, or the murder, or and suddenly you are scared or filled with tears, and you've been reading lines that is combined in an order for you to understand and interpret. And if that doesn't tell us that the way we create our life is created from inside out, I don't know what. But it's easy to believe that that's just when it's a book, when we watch a movie, not in real life.
Yeah, because we can
touch and feel,
put it down where the movie ends, and we get up.
Yeah, exactly.
And even like while you're in the movie, you can look back at the projector. Of course, you don't want to, because you're absorbed. You want to be entertained, right?
Yeah, exactly. We want to be in the movie. We want to be in the experience in some sense, right?
Yeah. Well, and that kind of speaks to like the cool part about this is that there's a point where you're in the movie, right? But you don't know you're in the movie. And then there's a point where you step back, and then you can re-enter the movie knowing that you're in the movie. And you live in the same way. It's the same life. It's like Sydney Banks talks about being ordinary. Like you can step back, but then once you see all of these truths, these realizations, he says, just live. And then you can go back and be in the movie and be really freaking entertained.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so helpful to see that, because we will miss sometimes, or many times, how our experience is created, because we're living it. We're in the middle of the movie in some sense. So it's hard for us to not see that we're not in the movie, because it feels like we're in it. So what more have you, has your life changed in some way, transformed maybe, depending on, right?
Oh yeah. I know for sure that this understanding has saved my marriage.
In what way?
Well, and because I had a realization. This was after all of my health concerns. My wife, who's so incredibly patient, and it was like, that was kind of a little bit hellish. That was a little bit like one of the worst time in my life, and she was so patient with me. She was kind of at her edge in that December time frame, and I'd been studying the principles for a little while, and in our relationship, she was like, well, I need you to meet me halfway. And I was like, are you kidding me? I am meeting you halfway. I'm like more than doing that. But this is what was happening. I felt like I was in a boxer in a ring every time that I tried to connect with her, and I was getting the crap kicked out of me, so that I'm like, I'm fighting for my life here. I'm meeting you all the way. But I wasn't meeting her halfway because I realized I was the one kicking my own butt. With my insecure thinking, I was using that power of thought, that magic of consciousness that makes it real. I was using that against myself and my own thinking against myself, my insecure thoughts of, does she even want me? And I wasn't meeting her halfway. I thought I was, but I was punching myself back here.
You were back in the corner.
Yeah.
In the boxing ring, if you can use that one. Yeah.
No. Kicking. Do you know the scene from Liar Liar with Jim Carrey? Have you ever watched that movie?
Yeah, I watched it a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a scene where he goes into the bathroom, and he's trying to get out and pause the actual courtroom drama so that he can have a pause of it. And so he's like, what am I going to do? And he just starts beating himself up. And then this man walks in, and he's just like slamming his head with the toilet bowl. This man walks in, he's like, I'm kicking my ass, do you mind? And and I realized that's what I was doing to myself. And I think a lot of us do that to ourselves.
Yeah, without even knowing.
Yeah. People who feel unworthy, or who feel self-conscious, or who feel so disconnected from the people they care about, and they're using the power of thought against themselves.
Yeah. Innocently.
Yeah. And I get it. I was doing it for years. And I thought that I needed to be more confident, and I had to think the right thoughts, right? And that would fix everything. And I literally have notebooks where I wrote again and again every single night. That was one of my evening routines, was to write. And I wrote, I love myself, I am worthy, ... And I'd write. And now I realize that I don't have to do that. That I'm already that, and that I just get in my own way sometimes, and I use the power of thought against myself sometimes. And like they say, it's even okay to be in those states. Those are then guides to you, and say, okay, it's probably time to question your thinking, because your emotions are coming from your thinking.
And it always makes sense, right? When we're doing that kind of activity, because
Mhm.
we start to believe like, yeah, I need to do that kind of a affirmation, or
Yeah.
um, because we are getting bombarded about that, right? If you just
Yeah.
how to get better self-esteem, do affirmations, look in the mirror, say you love yourself, right?
Yeah.
And absolutely, for some people it can help, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
whatever, do it. But it's not the affirmation in itself that is changing, it's your thoughts about yourself that is changing, right?
Mhm.
and 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 I also believe that maybe if it's still in that state that you okay, it's my thought that is changing and changing my feel for myself in some sense, is really shallow compared to the insights you have got, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't need a notebook. Oh, I can write some grocery lists in here instead. Like, yeah, because
Yeah.
as you say, like, I'm already that.
Mhm.
You both love, you're worthy, everything. You don't need to. Why would we need to do that when we see what is really true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But of
It,
course, it's easy for us to fall into it and believe that's what needed. If
mhm.
we look to different kind of websites and what we hear, and daily affirmations, blah blah blah, and so on, right? I done it too, right?
Yeah. And maybe it's a good next step. I think it's probably better than somebody just standing in the mirror yelling obscenities at
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
And it is the intellect telling itself that it is worthy, which it's kind of funny because like it's kind of like the fish. I was like that metaphor where the person is like, well, where's love, and where's belonging, and where is this like wholeness that I have? And that's kind of like the fish asking, where's all the water?
Yeah, exactly. What is water?
Yeah, what is water?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is
Where can?
love? What is
Yeah,
water?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's hard to see,
Hmm.
and it's for me, it's like in this conversation, it's so once again, I becoming reminded how innocently we do these things in hope to feel whole, to
Yeah.
feel complete in some sense, right? Um, because it's of course it's easy to, if we feel we feel and we believe that it's lack in some sense.
Hmm.
I've been feeling that. I'm doing these kind of affirmations and stuff, as you mentioned before.
Hmm.
And yeah, in 2019, I went all in on Joe Dispenza meditation. Good
Yeah.
meditations. Yeah, you done them, or you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've read all his books. Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. And really interesting, really good. Nothing wrong with that. Um, but but it's coming from the paradigm that you need to do some meditation to change your state. No, not true. According to me now. But I could like, oh, we were in Croatia, me and my wife and my two kids. And in the morning or in the afternoon, I went back to the room doing 1 hour meditation. or doing, as it's like, because I was like when I'm getting into something, my wife gonna definitely like, yeah, I'm agreeing on that one. I'm going all in, right? In some sense. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing this every day now for 7 days or whatever, some kind of challenge. And in hope to feel good, to in some kind affirm, doing some kind of affirmation in the meditation state, and creating a change in my life, and so on and so on. Oh, it was nice to meditate. It's nice. It's good. It's good for the brain. It says, the study says so and so, right? Nothing wrong to do it. And if you enjoy doing meditation, yeah, do meditation, right? Whatever. I'm not going to do it for 1 hour every day.
No.
If I don't feel for it, or feel like, yeah, it would be nice, right? Never happened since 2019, but anyway.
Well, and here's a clue. So if you suspect, I'm talking to the listeners now, if you suspect that you might be doing something that's good for you, but doing it in a way that is almost addictive like that, because I was the same way. My wife would be like, oh, there he goes again. And gets obsessed with this next thing, the next breath
copy
work,
paste you and me.
yeah. And so you can suspect or see if you just don't do it or take it away. And if you are like feeling anxious, like, oh my God, oh, I have to do this. That's a signal to you that it's probably coming from your intellect that you have to do that, not that in the moment intuitive guidance that will guide you to, and it will still guide me to do these wonderful things for myself. Like I said, and you do not have to take a cold shower. I'm not going to force you, but I like to jump in a cold shower and control my breathing, and I still will like to, I don't meditate very often, but every once in a while I'll sit down. And I still like to do yoga.
Yeah.
But it's not I have to in order to feel, in order to be. It's a in the moment guidance of, I want to do this.
So really distinct difference in it. Because if it's like I have to, then it's an addiction.
Yeah, it is. And you can be addicted to, alcohol and chocolates or food. I in my weight loss coaching, I worked with a lot of people like that. You can also be addicted to self-help. And I was. And yeah, I'm recovering.
Hi, my name is Daniel Magnusson. I'm a recovering self-help addict.
And that's I still love it. I'll read tons of books. I'm going to read the book you suggested, Clarity.
Yeah.
That's going to be my next one. But now it's not like I think I used to like look through those almost at like a frantic pace. Like I would read a book a week and I would speed read, and then I would need to get all of the information. And actually, I think it's when you slow down and that's when you see something. That's when you're seeing in between the lines. That's when you will get that realization and that understanding. When you pick up a book like missing link. I keep picking that book up, and I'm going to read it like probably hundreds more times, and I think I'll always see something new because I'm slowing down and I'm not looking in the wrong direction. I have this, I talked about it with one client, like you're digging, right? You're digging and you're looking for sticks. Okay, you're like, but my dog was like, oh, this is great. So you're looking for sticks, and then you'd pick up this yellow shiny rock and you'd be like, that's not a stick. And it's that golden nugget would buy you a whole house and more. We will look past, and we won't see those insights, that wisdom, if we're looking for the wrong things or in the wrong places. You can look for you can look in the right places and still find the wrong things. And that's why people will look at the work of like Sid Banks and some of these other people, because they're not seeing.
Exactly. We're finding what we're looking for in some sense, and if we're looking for a solution in a text or in a audio tape or in a movie or in gurus, so to say, whatever that mean, we miss it. And once again, the copy paste. I also like read books and all kind of books, good books, nothing wrong with them, but it was in some way to become better in all the time and fulfilling in some sense, right? Finding that thing that's going to change everything, right? And addiction, as you say, doesn't matter if it's healthy stuff or not. It's still an addiction. So if people would like to come in contact with you, because I'm thinking we're gonna start wrapping it up.
Sure.
I'm gonna put the details in contact, but in the show notes also. But maybe someone is driving and wanna mentally try to remember something. What is the best way to come in contact with you, would you say?
richliferealization@gmail.com. That would be an email. They can send me an email, and if they're just like, say, hey, I want to continue this conversation, or I'm interested. I'd love to have this conversation with more people.
I will put the information also in the show notes as mentioned. So thank you very much, Rich. Been a really great conversation. And what if you're gonna send some last words to the listener? What would that be? As a finishing thing before we end.
I think it would be that they don't have to do in order to feel, in order to be, that there is a level of being that's underneath all of the intellectual thinking that we have, and that, like, we know it, that it's there. Even in my darkest time, I wanted to continue. I wanted to be there. And that we know that even when it's cloudy out and the sun is covered up, even by storm clouds, that it's still daylight out. That your inner well-being is always underneath. And because you're experiencing life right now, that's your clue that it's still there. Look towards it.
Tack för att du har lyssnat på det här avsnittet. Är det så att du uppskattar den här podcasten så får du självklart dela den vidare till dem du tänker kan ha ett behov av att lyssna på den. Det finns också en möjlighet för dig att boka in sig på ett kostnadsfritt coachingsamtal med mig. Det finns inga förbehåll att du måste ha tankar om att bli coachad, utan du kanske har en frågeställning bara så här: det här skulle vara intressant att bolla med Daniel. Så kan jag hjälpa dig på något sätt så gör jag det mer än gärna. Skicka frågan till mig på daniel@humanchange.se. På hemsidan hittar du även videokursen Nyckeln till stressfrihet. Det är en videokurs som jag tillsammans med Angelica Almqvist har skapat. Och det är ett program då för dig som vill ha ett stressfriare liv. Och några vanliga effekter som man kan se efter det här är då minskad stress, oro, frustration och psykisk ohälsa. Ett ökat lugn, välbefinnande, sinnesro med mera. Tack!